Hare Krishna. We're going to start today's session. We'd like to welcome all of you all to our Gita classes. And we're going to be starting the third chapter of the Bhagavad Gita today. We'll just offer a few prayers and then begin the session. Om Agyantimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayamrupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutaha Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajata Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhano Shute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo Rama Ramo Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Would like to welcome all of you all to our Bhagavad Gita classes. We are starting the third chapter of the Bhagavad Gita today. And the third chapter of the Bhagavad Gita is called as Karma Yoga. So this chapter, as all the chapters that we have been doing so far, has an acronym. The first chapter of the Gita had the acronym of DISC. The second chapter of the Gita had the acronym of Gita itself. And the third chapter today, which we are going to start, has the acronym which is TREE. So over the period of the next few sessions, we will come to know what this acronym TREE stands for. But the first word, first letter of this acronym, it stands for the word Tyaga. And the word Tyaga means renunciation. Usually when we hear the word Tyaga, it creates a lot of jittery feelings in the heart, because it talks about giving up, it talks about renunciation. What is Krishna asking us to give up? Is he asking us to give up money? Is he asking us to give up the valuable cosmetics that we have collected over a lifetime? Is he asking us to give up our family, our homes? Is he asking us to give up the valuable garments that we have? That's not what Tyaga is. So what exactly is Tyaga? And which Tyaga is being referred here? That's what we will understand over this chapter. So the verses, the first 9 verses of this particular chapter, which talk about Tyaga, are very beautiful and very incredible verses in terms of what we're going to learn from them. They reveal the qualities of a man living in this world. Uh, it's not talking about the qualities of a brahmachari. It's not talking about the qualities of somebody living in a monastery. It's not talking about somebody or the qualities of a sannyasi who has nothing to give and take with this world. Um, it talks about people who are of this world. So, chapter 3 of the Gita is a story of all of us who are in this particular audience. It's a story of all of us who are trying to understand the concept of the Gita. It's a story of all of us who are living in the modern worlds, but are pretty confused about what we need to do, what we can't do, and things like that. So, this chapter comes as a ray of hope for all of us. And just in case if one thinks that spiritual advancement is only possible for sannyasis who are living in an ashram, or for those who wear clothes of a renunciant, for those who keep like shikas and ponytails at the back of their heads. If that's what we think renunciation is, or the idea of tyaga and spiritual advancement is, it is absolutely wrong. Chapter 3 will almost come as a breather, and it will come as a ray of hope of what exactly spiritual advancement is about and what exactly spiritual life is all about. And that's what we will be talking very much in this chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. The chapter 3 of the Gita begins the confusion. It begins only with the confusion. After 2 chapters are completed in the Gita, we understood that the first chapter was more or less like an introduction to the mood of the Gita and to the context of the Gita. And then at the end of the first chapter, Arjun gets very confused. He doesn't know what to do. And in his confusion, he's making all kinds of reasons why he doesn't want to fight. And then in the first few verses of the second chapter also, Arjun continues the confusion. And then he completely surrenders to Krishna, saying that, Baba, I can't understand anything. Please help me. And then Krishna goes on to explain the entire second chapter to convince, practically, Krishna summarizes the whole Gita in the second chapter. And if, Arjun, or rather, Arjun is just a medium. If all of us feel that by hearing Krishna's second chapter of Gita, I've understood everything that I need to understand, then we won't have a third chapter at all. We won't have any other chapters at all, because technically in second chapter, everything that needs to be understood is understood. Fortunately, Arjun thought of all of us. He thought of people like us who will not understand this, the entire Gita in essence in the second chapter. And therefore, Arjun asks a question. He expresses a confusion. Arjun says, I have not understood something. So now, if after reading the Gita, confusion sets in your mind, and if you feel you have not understood something, you are in parampara. After reading Gita, Arjun didn't understand something. Wonderful. That's what the whole thing is. Gita is a samvad. It's a discussion. And therefore, our entire life, we can discuss the Gita and still at some point come to a conclusion that I still don't understand everything. That's how it is supposed to be. That's how deep the message of the Gita is. And on the other hand, if somebody says, I read Gita, I understood everything, that's it. That guy has not understood anything actually. That person has not understood the mood of Arjuna also. Because the subject matter, the more you discuss, the more you understand. And the more you understand that I don't understand. It's a very interesting type of discussion. You understand, and yet you don't understand. You understand some things, and yet there are many more layers that you don't understand. That's what makes the Gita so beautiful. That's what makes the Gita such a powerful book. And that's what makes the Gita so profound in its depth and wisdom. So, Srila Prabhupada, he explained that after having read the whole Gita, if one thinks they've understood the Gita, they are in illusion. And he said, if after reading the entire Gita, if one concludes that I have not understood anything, he is the right person for self-realization. And therefore, one should not lose hope if one does not understand things in the middle. Even Arjun didn't understand things. Don't get a complex that what is going on, I can't understand this and I can't understand that. It's okay. As we grow in our realizations and depth of our spiritual connections, we actually start understanding things at a deeper level. So the first verse of the third chapter of the Gita is this. This is Arjun's question. So it's 3.1. Arjuna Uvacha Jayase Chet Karmanaste Mata Buddhir Janardana Tatkim Karmani Gore Mam Niyojesi Keshava. So this is Arjun's question. His question is, O Janardhan, O Keshava, why do you want me to engage in this ghastly warfare if you think intelligence is better than fruitive work? Now, I just read the translation as it is, isn't it? And after I read the translation and after you heard the translation, some of you are feeling, I didn't understand the question only. Very good. That means you are in the bona fide parampara. you are as confused as Arjun is. So now let me make this entire discussion very down to earth for you and make it very relevant and practically understandable for you. Okay. So please bear with me. The third chapter is a little technical, but it's very deep and amazing if you just focus a little bit on it. Okay. So we're going to go into the depth of the discussion and I want all of you to really focus and hear carefully so that you don't miss anything that I'm going to share. Confusion is a common thing when there is more than one option. If there was only one option, there is no confusion, right? The moment there is more than one option, there is confusion. Like say, for example, if Mumbai had only one standard of living, no Malabar Hill, no Dharavi, no Ghatkopar, then each and everyone will have a same comfortable life, isn't it? But there are different standards of living, and that's why man gets confused where to stay. Confusion always sets in the moment there is more options. Ask any student who is in 12th standard, for those who are from other countries, 12th grade or getting into the higher secondary. Confusion is there. That person is thinking of doing medicine, and then some person, a friend of his, jumps into engineering, and then that fellow also changes his mind and does engineering 4 years, and then after 4 years realizes I'm not supposed to be an engineer. What all confusions exist in this world, 90% of those who do engineering, at the end of 4 years of engineering, they realize that I have come to the wrong course. It doesn't happen too often with people in other streams, but with engineering, it always happens. I can vouch for that myself, So, confusion sets in when you have multiple options. If you go to a shopping mall to buy things, you go to a mobile shop to buy phones, you get an iPhone and you get a new phone, you're confused what to buy, when a person is choosing trousers, there is Armani and there's Hilfiger and there's Levi's and so many types of trousers, and the person doesn't know what to purchase. More than one option always leads to confusion. Ladies, when they go to jewelry shops, how much confusion is there? You buy a bigger pendant or buy a bigger stone or buy this and buy that. What to buy? When choosing a life partner, that is the biggest of the biggest confusions. Whom do you choose as a life partner? So do you want to marry a person who has money but has no brain, or do you want to marry a person who has brain but has no money? Somebody who has both, that person is not exactly like me. It's so confusing so many times. So what do you do? So if Arjun is confused in the beginning of the second chapter, of the beginning of the third chapter, which means that in the second chapter, Krishna has given more than one option. That's what it means. As simple as that, So Krishna has given Arjun more than one option. If Krishna had given Arjun a straight away, do this, then there would be no confusion. But as soon as Krishna is proposing different paths to Arjun, the question is, which one is better, this one or that one? So Arjun is asking Krishna, which one is better? You only tell me. So what are the paths that Arjun is talking about here? So the paths that Arjun is talking about here, he says, you have told me there is a path of action, karmanaste. It's called the path of action. And then you told me there is a path of intelligence, buddhi. What he called as buddhi yoga in the chapter 2 of Bhagavad Gita. So Arjun's question is, which is better? The path of intelligence better or the path of action better? Karma better or intelligence, jnana better? To start cultivating knowledge based on intelligence and give up work, or continue work, which one do you want me to do? Arjun personally likes the first path, where he has to give up everything and sit with a book because he doesn't want to fight. That's mostly the path that a lot of people like, isn't it? If you have to do a lot of effort and you have to sit and do some reading, why will you not choose the easy path? The path of sitting and doing some reading, basically. And most people want to escape from putting that effort in. So he finds spirituality and reading books as a good recourse and a good route to escape the responsibilities of life. Many times when we go in taxis, these taxi guys have a very interesting dialogues with us, especially when they see us coming from a Hare Krishna temple. And very often I've been asked this question, Maharaj, आपको कुछ करना नहीं पड़ता है ना वहां पे, आपको सब मिल जाता है फ्री में, you get everything, you don't have to do anything. मुझे भी join करना है, I also want to come, can I come and join? Very interesting. Most people assume that if you are coming from a temple or if you're staying in a temple, which means that you don't have to do anything. I wish I could tell them all the complications, the problems of living a life like this. It's not easy, right? Everything seems easy from the other side. The grass is always greener on the other side. So most people want to look for a path where they can escape from the responsibilities of action. And if Krishna is giving an option to Arjun, Arjun is wanting to choose the easy path, where he doesn't have to fight, where he doesn't have to act, he doesn't have to perform action, he doesn't have to take responsibility. He has to just sit and read books. So this is not just our conflict. Arjun has started to feel like this. It begins with Arjun, and it represents each and every one of us. It is begin with his confusion, but that conflict is also in all of us, basically. Anyone who takes up the path of spirituality suddenly starts feeling that this is the escape that I'm always looking for in life. So many young boys, whom we connect with, and we are, especially in schools and colleges, they immediately find that spirituality is an escape. And they use philosophy so wonderfully. One guy comes up to me and he says, Prabhu, maths is Maya. No use only. This is not a elderly boy, he's like an 8th standard kid, This guy, 8th standard kid, is coming and telling me, Prabhu, where will we use maths ever in our life? My father has never ever used one mathematical equation ever in his life. Why am I studying it? Might as well, read Prabhupada's books. Might as well read Bhagavad Gita, which is more useful in life. 8th standard kid telling me something like this. So this confusion that Arjuna is bringing up is a confusion that all of us have. Arjun represents us. Arjun represents the mass of people. And Arjun represents a mindset that we are all dealing with. So should we take Krishna consciousness as a good route to escape our duties and not work at all? One may feel that I anyway had never any interest in earning money and working and all that. Now, after hearing Gita and getting into Krishna consciousness, my interest has gone down even more. I'm not interested only, in all this. So, a lot of people think Krishna's is a good route to neglect our family responsibilities, saying that wife is Maya, husband is Maya, children are Maya, all home duty is Maya, everything is big illusion, and leave everything and go on the path of Gyan. So now the question is, this confusion is very powerful. How do you deal with this confusion? And how do you really overcome this confusion and understand what Krishna is trying to say and what Arjuna is trying to ask? This kind of confusion becomes a tool that many people who are irresponsible look for, actually. They are actually looking for such kind of confusion. Like a person in the family, one person, whom I knew, a young boy, he once came up to me and he said, in my family, nobody cares for me. Nobody respects me. Nobody honors me. They treat me like trash. My older brother also speaks to me like this. My parents also, treat me like this. But why were they treating him like that? That he wouldn't tell. The reason they were treating him like that was because this guy would sit at home and do nothing. He would sit at home, chant all day long, read Prabhupada's books all day long, and then expects his family to support him and respect him more than anything and more than support him, So he justified that ultimately life was meant for Krishna. I'm doing that only. I'm doing the essence of the most important thing. And everybody else should support my quest for spirituality. I had to actually explain to him. I had to make him sit down. And I literally had to speak in a very heavy way with him to make him understand the realities of life. And, at the end of the whole discussion, this guy was shaken up because he was looking at it from a philosophical point of view. But while looking from a philosophical point of view, he forgot the practical point of view. And after, I really, really heavily spoke to him and shook him up literally. Then he said, please tell me, what should I do now? I told him, first go and get a job. And he went, followed my instructions, followed my advice, and he took up a job, became a very responsible person. And then he slowly started helping his family members take up Krishna consciousness seriously. And when they saw that he was responsible in his other jobs and in other aspects of life, they started taking him more seriously in this aspect of life also. Therefore, this confusion of Arjuna is very relevant. So, what is Buddhi Yoga, what is Jnana Yoga, and what is Karma Yoga? So, this idea of, this mixture of what I need to do in life is a very important idea. So, if one practices one of the paths, a lot of people think that these paths are disconnected from each other. They have no connection with each other. They think that either I do this or I do this. But Bhagavad Gita doesn't work like that. In the material world, a lot of our life works like that. If I'm an engineer, I'm not a doctor. And if I'm a doctor, I'm not an engineer. Right? That's how life works, isn't it? But the philosophy of Gita doesn't work like that. It works in a very integrated way, which is what Arjuna is not able to understand. And that is what Krishna is going to help us understand. So if we have Bhakti Yoga, we are actually technically having all three yogas. If we have Bhakti Yoga, in Bhakti Yoga, we do Karma Yoga also. We work. But we work for the pleasure of Krishna. In Bhakti Yoga, we have knowledge also. It helps us to serve Krishna better. So Dhyan also is there in Bhakti Yoga. And Bhakti Yoga, we meditate also. So Dhyan also is there. When we chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, we're actually doing meditating. We're chanting the holy names of the Lord. So Dhyan also is included in Bhakti Yoga. If one practices Bhakti Yoga, one doesn't have to bother about each yoga individually. Or a person becomes a Jnana Yogi, a person becomes a Karma Yogi, a person becomes a Dhyana Yogi also. If one is a Bhakti Yogi for the pleasure of Krishna, and one studies and gets knowledge for the pleasure of Krishna, and one meditates and chants the holy names of the Lord for the pleasure of Krishna, these are all included in the path of Bhakti Yoga. But these paths individually, Karma Yoga individually, Jnana Yoga individually, Dhyana Yoga individually, may or may not have Bhakti in it. So therefore, Arjun's doubt is, what should I do? Krishna, should I work or should I use my intelligence? Like you said in chapter 2, you tell me, choose one of the two. So in chapter 2, verses 54 to 72, Krishna uses the word buddhi just in these, whatever number of verses, 18 or 20 verses. Just in these number of verses, Krishna uses the word buddhi 33 times. So 33 times Krishna has used the word buddhi, or intelligence or knowledge, basically. Now, if something is repeated so many times, naturally it impacts one's mind, and therefore one is bound to have doubt. And Arjun begins to wonder, should he use his intelligence so much? Krishna is saying buddhi, buddhi, buddhi so many times. So does Krishna really want me to use my buddhi? And Arjun begins to wonder, all these years, his training that he has got has been to use his, strength, power, skills, talents, work hard, isn't it? That's what his training is for. And suddenly Krishna is giving him full lecture, 33 times he's telling buddhi. So Arjuna is wondering, am I supposed to use my buddhi or am I supposed to use my hands? Am I supposed to use my talents? What am I supposed to do? Somebody keeps telling us, chant, 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 chant. 100 times somebody says, please chant, please chant, please chant. At least once you will say, chalo yaar, ek baar chant kar lete. Right? Somewhere it impacts, after hearing 100 times chant, 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 somewhere it impacts us. Say, chalo, we'll chant at least once. So here, this confusion is coming to Arjun because of the repeated asking, or repeated mentioning of the word buddhi by Krishna. And Arjun now wants a clarification. So first, his confusion, the first verse of Arjun expresses his confusion. The second verse of the third chapter is seeking a clarification. Arjun says, Vyamishreneva vakyena buddhim moha yastva me tadekam vada nischityam yena shreyoham apniyam. He says, tad ekam vada nischityam. So Arjun's question is, my intelligence is bewildered by your equivocal instructions. Therefore, please tell me decisively which will be most beneficial for me. So he is using this, Arjuna is saying, Vyamishreneva vakyena. Vyamishreneva vakyena means mishra, means mixture. So Arjuna is telling Krishna, your sentences are all mixed up. You said so many things at once. So many things have been mixed up together. Buddhi, karma, so many things have been mixed up together. Because of this, buddhi moha yastva. Moha istva means my intelligence has got fascinated. I am confused totally. Why I'm confused? Tad ekam vada nischityam. He's telling, please tell me one thing. Don't tell me this and this. Just tell me one thing. Eka nischityam. One thing you tell me properly. And I'll be very clear if you tell me do this. So Arjuna is asking a clarification. He's telling me, my dear Lord, please tell me what should I do? So when there is confusion, Arjuna has a good quality of clarification. If one has confusion in their heads and they are not willing to clarify that confusion, then it gets carried forward and one will follow the wrong course of action. If you have a confusion, please clarify. If you have a confusion, please clarify. I'm going to give you a very, very graphic example of this. In Mumbai, we have many bases. So base is typically a place where it's almost like a hostel for young boys to stay. These are all typically boys who are either studying or working in, unmarried boys. So we create a facility where, 10, 15 of them can stay together. We have a cook and we have a nice morning program and a nice spiritual atmosphere where they can stay together and practice their spiritual lives. So we have bases like this across Mumbai. So in one particular base, there were about 30 students living there. And these students, along with their jobs and their studies and all that, in the base, they take some responsibilities, So they have to do some seva, some kind of a little bit of services and all that. So the cook, one day, he called one boy and he told this boy, please go to the market and get 5 kilos of bhopla. So bhopla is for he understands anything about cooking will understand what bhopla is, So this boy, basically the cook told him to get pumpkin, 5 kilos, basically. So this boy went 2 hours, he's not coming back only. Now it doesn't take 2 hours to go and get a pumpkin from the market. Obviously it doesn't take anywhere in the world, it won't take 2 hours, and especially in Mumbai, it definitely can't take 2 hours. So then after 2 hours, he comes back and he tells that cook, he said, Prabhuji, I did not get 5 kilos. Then cook asked him, how many kilos did you get? He said, I only managed to get 1 kilo. And the cook was amazed. It took him 2 hours to get 1 kilo of bhopla. And then he told him, where is it? He went and got a huge box. He was wondering, how can 1 kilo bhopla fit into such a big box? And then they opened it to figure out he didn't get 1 kilo bhopla, he got 1 kilo dhokla. Dhokla is for those who are Gujaratis understand what dhokla is. This guy managed to go and get from different shops. He went and purchased, 1 kilo of dhokla and he got it to the base. Now the cook was bewildered. He said, I asked you 5 kilos dhokla and you got me 1 kilo dhokla. And this boy didn't even bother to clarify again whether he understood it rightly or wrongly. He just went ahead and did what he wants and came back. So the lesson is simple. One should listen before acting. And if you're not sure, ask. Clarify. Unfortunately, we do this in our lives. We hear something and we understand something else. And we do something else only, Therefore, people like Arjun are very good. Because when they're confused, they have the guts to stand and ask questions. Sometimes somebody might say, what a stupid question it is. But at least it is better than acting stupid later without clarification, isn't it? And that clarification is very, very important for spiritual advancement. Hear what is being told to you. Listen carefully before any instruction is given to you. And if you don't understand, ask questions. Never follow things blindly. Look at Arjun. He's a surrendered soul. He has already said in the Gita, Shishyasteham Shadimam Tvam Prapannam. He has already said, I'm a soul surrendered to you. Interestingly, a surrendered soul can ask questions. A lot of people think surrendered soul means chup chap following karo bas, blind following. But that's not what real surrender is. Real surrender is not blindly following. It's asking questions relevantly. And therefore, after surrendering also, one can still ask questions, but the question is to clarify, not challenge. So Arjuna is asking question not to challenge Krishna. He's asking question to clarify from Krishna. This is the difference between a surrendered soul asking questions and an arrogant person asking questions. There's a big difference. So when one surrenders, it doesn't mean that you stop your intelligence and accept all that is being said. After surrendering, still one has a choice of questioning. Arjuna surrendered and he questioned. Therefore, there are two words. Pranipat means surrender, but pariprashna means ask questions, and sevaya means action. There's a very interesting verse in the Gita. Tad viddhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. Krishna is talking about how one should surrender to a teacher. Pranipat, so it has three components. When you're dealing with the teacher, there are three components to dealing with the teacher. First is pranipat, which means I need to take shelter, surrender to a teacher. Second is pariprashna. That means I have the rights to ask questions to a teacher when I'm confused. Not in a challenging spirit, but in a spirit of wanting to clarify. And third, after you get clarification, sevaya, which means I do something about it. I get into action. I act on that understanding. I act on that, the clarification that has been given. And that's when the whole concept becomes much better, much clearer, and much deeper into our hearts. So after one surrender, there should be clarity. And after one clarifies, there should be action. Don't sit on the chair and discuss philosophy and do nothing about it in the end. Act in life. There is no point in being an armchair philosopher, saying Gita is very nice, Prabhuji gives very nice lectures, and after that, nothing. What am I going to do about it? Nothing. I say, wow, very good. I'll clap my hands and I'll tell a few people saying that I hear a very nice clap. What are you going to do about it? If you don't have a plan to do anything about it, sorry, it's only a portion of learning. Unless you get up and do something about it, that knowledge will not get completed in terms of the cycle of learning. So Arjuna is not like that. He's not just a philosopher who asks Krishna big questions and does nothing about it. There are people who have question about everything in life. Every single thing you tell them, they'll ask a question. They ask, who came first, Ram or Krishna? If Ram came first, why his name does not appear first in the Hare Krishna Mahamantra? Why his name is coming second? Arey Baba, who comes first is secondary. First you chant. They will not chant. They will ask all these silly questions. They will go into loops like this and they will not do any action. They only want to ask questions. And give them one answer, they will ask one more question. Give them one more answer, they will ask one more question. In the end, they don't want to do anything, basically. They only want to ask questions and pakao you, essentially. So, the good quality of Arjun is that he clarifies things and he does not simply sit there. After he clarifies things, he stands and fights. And therefore, if you actually see the end of the Gita, after Arjuna asks all his questions, then he tells Krishna, Karishye vachanam tava. My dear Krishna, I will do what you say now. And he stands up, picks up his bow, and fights for 18 days. And for the rest of his life, basically. So that means he asked enough questions, and after he got his answers, he got into action. And that's what the whole idea of the Gita is. Unfortunately for us, we are not exactly like this. We're not exactly like how Arjuna is, There were two children who were playing with each other, and then grandfather asks one of them to get a glass of water. So this boy, he says, "Sorry, grandpa, I can't get it. I'm playing a game." And then the second child told the grandfather, "Grandpa is so ill-mannered. You only take the water by yourself." The second fellow also not getting it, but he's calling the first fellow ill-mannered, but he will not go. So this is our life. We hear, we understand, we question, we get clarification, but we won't act on it. Krishna, is expected to give us all the answers. So now Krishna is going to answer Arjun's confusion. So verse number 3 to verse number 9 of this third chapter is Krishna's answer to Arjun's question, which is better, jnana or karma? This is the answer to Arjun's question. Arjuna asked a question, and now Krishna is going to answer Arjun's question in these 3 verses. So, in essence, just repeating Arjun's question again, using intelligence to get knowledge, and renouncing or working and serving. Which of the two is better? That is what Arjun's question is. So now Krishna is going to go ahead and give answer to Arjun's question about this confusion between jnana and karma. The third verse of the third chapter is like this. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Lokesmi Duvidanishta Pura Prokta Mayanaga Jnana Yogena Sankhyanam Karma Yogena Yoginam. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "O sinless Arjun, I have already explained that there are 2 classes of men who try to realize the self. Some are inclined to understand it by empirical, philosophical speculation, and others by devotional service." You didn't understand anything what Krishna is trying to say? Don't worry, I'm explaining it. Krishna is saying, Lokesmi. Lokesmi means in all this world, in this world. Dvivida means there are 2 types of faith that exists. O Arjun, 2 kinds of faith exists, which means there are 2 kinds of people in this world. What are the 2 kinds of faith? So Krishna is saying the first is one who believes in Jnana Yogena Sankhyanam, understanding everything, knowledge. Some people believe in the path of knowing. The second type of people are Karma Yogena Yoginam, which means they believe in the path of doing. There are some people who believe in the path of knowing, and there are some people who believe in the path of doing. Krishna has described in the chapter 2 of the Gita the knowers and the doers. Those who go by the path of knowing, by renouncing everything, and those who go by the path of doing, by acting in this world. Therefore, in this verse, Krishna is speaking about 2 paths. First is Jnana Yogena Sankhyanam, using intelligence to analyze things. Analyze how this world is temporary. Everything gets finished at some point. Hitler's empire gets finished. Napoleon's empire gets finished. Someone's business gets crashed. Someone's house gets shattered by an earthquake. Life is temporary, and this world is temporary. Such a person observes, analyzes, and gets the knowledge that this world is temporary. There are Bollywood songs that say the same thing in one sense, so some people can learn the same knowledge by studying Bhagavad Gita, and somebody else can get the same knowledge by watching a Bollywood movie and hearing some song, basically. Whatever way you get it, this is what is known as Jnana Yogena Sankhyanam, analyzing the nature of this world. A person who is a Jnana Yogi understands that this world is temporary. There is no point in thinking too much about this. And after understanding this world is temporary, he goes further to understand that this body also is temporary. Isn't it? We all understand that. Last few days, I've been spending a lot of time in the hospitals. And hospitals are wonderful places for you to conclude that this body is temporary. Because everywhere around, you see that only temporary nature. You see bodies dwindling. You see, so many ways of. So those who are Jnana Yogis and those who have an ability to analyze, if they simply go to hospital, they'll come to the same conclusion. That many Jnana Yogis come after a lot of research and analysis. So one can get influenced to think like this from songs, from poets, from reading the different literatures and movies and something like that. So our analysis is go from the world that is temporary to a body that is temporary, to the soul that is eternal. But where did the soul come from? There is God above. You want to go there, right? So when we say Jnana Yogena Yogina, Jnana Yogena Sankhyanam, the word is Sankhya, means analysis. So the word Sankhya is the analysis of the world around us using one's intelligence. So today we get inspired from film songs and movies and all that. In the olden days, they would get inspired by Vedic knowledge and era scriptures. So after analyzing the world is temporary, the body is temporary, the soul is eternal, God is eternal, my relationship with God is eternal, what should I do? Let me start doing some service to Krishna. That's what a Jnana Yogi would come to a conclusion. So knowing is ultimately leading to doing. Isn't it? After you know that this world is temporary, after you know that this body is temporary, after you know that the soul is eternal, after you know that your relationship with God is eternal, after you know that I need to revive my relationship, what do? That's the question. So after knowing, there is doing. Ideally, that's how it should be, basically. So after all this analysis of jnana, what will a person ultimately do? If we have to go back to Godhead, how do you go back to Godhead? Let me do something. Let me serve God. So jnana yoga will ultimately lead to action only, karma only. But it is karma after a lot of analysis. So you come to a conclusion that I need to do something after a lot of thinking and analyzing. Jnanavam mam prapadyate. Krishna says, Bahunam janmanam ante jnanavam mam prapadyate. He says, after many lifetimes, somebody who is a jnani will attain me. Why many lifetimes? Because so many lifetimes goes in thinking only. So many lifetimes goes in analyzing only. You know, so many people in this world spend their entire life analyzing what I should do. And by the time it comes to doing something, time is up. Sorry, time up. You have to go back? No. And then next life they come and they analyze what mistake they made in last life. And whole life goes in analyzing what mistake I made, I should not do. By the time next life also is gone. So like this, life after life, people spend time only analyzing and thinking what to do, and they don't end up doing anything. And therefore, Krishna is saying, Bahunam Janmanam Ante Jnanavam Mam Prabhadite. After many, many lifetimes, a Jnani attains me because all those lifetimes he's only thinking. He's only analyzing, but not doing anything about it. And therefore, here, the idea is Karma Yogena Yogina. And work means there's a little faith from hearing from a guru, little faith in hearing from devotees. So we have listened to some devotee, some lecture we have heard, and they tell us chant. So we think, "Arey, poor fellow, so much he is spending his effort and energy and telling us chant. Chalo, let me chant. For his sake, let me chant." So rather than thinking so much and analyzing so much and reading so much and spending so much time in research, what we do? What is this karma yogena yogina? You hear from a devotee and immediately act on it. Immediately do something about it, right? Not going through these, so much process of hearing Bollywood movie songs and, getting into poetry and getting into literature and getting into analytical study of this world and all that, coming to the same conclusion after so many lifetimes. You just hear one lecture. First lecture of Hare Krishna movement you hear, and they tell you, start chanting Hare Krishna. That's it. You save so much time, so many lifetimes of analysis just by hearing 1 hour lecture, and if you act on it, basically. So here, Krishna is talking about the result of knowledge. Bhakti is the result of knowledge. Vasudeva Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha. So Bhakti Yoga Prayojita means when one serves the Lord without having analyzed the world, when one starts serving the Lord, starts working for Krishna, the result is that wisdom dawns in the heart. If you understand, there are two ways. One is that you analyze, and then do something about it. The second is that you straight away do something about it. And by doing that, suddenly realization arises in the heart. So these are the two ways of acting in this world. So here, there is no, do, no. No, do, no means what? In the beginning, we knew. We knew a little bit. Then we heard. And after hearing philosophy, we do something about it. And after we do, we know more. Right? So it's a cycle. It's no, do, no. But the other cycle is no, no, no. There is no do only here. So a lot of people get stuck in the cycle of no, no, no. That means they keep hearing and analyzing and studying and analyzing and hearing more, analyzing more. There is no do only in it. And because there is no do in it, knowledge does not become wisdom. There is a big difference between knowledge and wisdom. What is the difference between knowledge and wisdom? The difference between knowledge and wisdom is digested knowledge. A lot of people think I'm knowledgeable. The question is not whether you're knowledgeable. The question is, have you digested the knowledge? To be able to digest knowledge, you need to do something about it. Just a typical simple example. If you eat a lot of food, but you don't walk around, don't do any action, you will not be able to digest that food. It will come out somewhere else, in a different form, which is not supposed to come out, right? So if you do something, then you get ability to digest that knowledge. And that is what the whole idea is. Therefore, Krishna is telling Arjuna, Lokesmi Dvivida Anishta, there are two kinds of people. Those who know and those who do. Some will know, Bahunam Janmanam Ante, and then do. Some will know little, do, and then know more, and then do. Then they have more wisdom, and then again they do. So that means these are people who actually act on that knowledge. Therefore, Krishna is telling Arjuna that Jnana and Yoga are not two separate things. They are both part of the same process. They are like rungs of a ladder. They are steps of a ladder. One step is meant to lead to the next step. So that means the second step is to reach the goal. That means Jnana Yoga is one step, which means it has to lead to Karma Yoga, which is the second step. You know, and then you do. Jnana is to know, and Karma is to do. So it's not that they're two different paths. They are actually steps that lead you to the same goal, same destination. So if you're already on the first step, go to the second step now. If you're already on the second step, don't go back down, go higher. Don't get stuck in this, 1 to 1 to go higher to the higher steps, basically. So most of us are on the second step. Technically, at least those who are supposed to be attending these Gita classes. And if you're actually chanting already, if you're already practicing, the process that I have spoken to you all about, ABCD, association, books, chanting, and diet. If you're already doing it, you're already on the second step. Because you're already on the path of doing. You're not just hearing and saying, wow, what a beautiful class, I'm amazing and all that, passing beautiful comments and doing nothing about it. If you are, mind you, please step up. Time to go up to the next step. Don't just be on the platform of knowledge. Don't just get stuck in the platform of knowing, but get into the path of doing. So Lord Krishna is telling Arjun that Jnana and Karma are not mutually independent. They are mutually dependent steps of the same ladder of progress in spirituality. So Srila Prabhupada makes a beautiful statement. He says, Jnana and Karma Yoga are interrelated to each other, just like religion and philosophy are interrelated together. And he says, this is classic, Srila Prabhupada's classic definition. He says, religion without philosophy is sentimentalism and sometimes fanaticism. But philosophy without religion is mental speculation. Let me explain what this means. It's a very powerful thing. So religion without philosophy means what? If you have religion in your life, like you're doing arti, with the incense and diya and conch shell and all that, but you don't know why you're doing it. You know you're doing all the rituals, but you don't know why you're doing it. So that means you're following religious practices without knowing its meaning. So the philosophy, without knowing the philosophy behind the rituals are merely sentiments. And it's a mostly useless sentiment. A mere ritual without knowing what you're doing is nothing but sentimentalism or fanaticism. Therefore, Prabhupada says, if one has religion without philosophy, it is sentimentalism and sometimes fanaticism. How much fanaticism is there in this world, isn't it? How much fanaticism is there in this world? Simply because people are following religion without understanding philosophy. So when there is religion without philosophy, it leads to fanaticism, or it leads to sentimentalism, or at worst, fanaticism. Like say, for example, one will not eat unless they have done diya in front of God. Now, why does one do diya? They don't understand the reason behind it. But they keep doing it, hardcore commitment, to the level of fanaticism, without understanding why they're doing it. So religion, which is not supported by philosophy, is bound to lead to fanaticism. So, I'm sure all of us understand, what we're talking about, right? There are so many religions that just are in that mood, basically. But philosophy without religion, it leads to mental speculation. So basically, so many philosophies: communism, dictatorship, capitalism, Stalin, Lenin, Hitler. So many people have brought in philosophies, and all these philosophies are not backed up by religious scriptures. And because they're not backed up by religious scriptures, they're just mental speculation. And they all did damage to this world. They all did great damage to the world, because there is philosophy without a religious scripture backing it, without a proper understanding backing it. So religion without philosophy is sentimentalism or fanaticism, and philosophy without religion is mental speculation. So what we need to do is something in between. What we need to understand is, therefore, Krishna so far in this particular section of the Gita, what Krishna has made us understand is that don't think Arjun, we're talking about two different paths. So Arjun is saying, please help me choose this or this. Should I choose buddhi or should I choose the path of karma? Should I choose the path of knowledge or should I choose the path of action? Krishna is telling him, Baba, both are not two different paths. Both of them are two steps of the same ladder that is, leading you to a higher destination. In verse 4, which we will take up next time, Krishna now explains to Arjun not to run away in the name of acquiring knowledge. And Krishna tells Arjun not to escape. So that's what we will come to in the next verse of the third chapter. This third chapter is fascinating discussions, and there is fascinating knowledge that is available if you only have the patience and the desire to hear and understand. There is so much that we can learn from these beautiful verses that Krishna and Arjun are having in the Samvad of the Bhagavad Gita. And hopefully these discussions will nourish the path of our life and will help us understand the Gita, value the Gita, and apply the Gita in our lives. And as I said, know, do, and know. Don't get into the path of no, no, no only. So I think we have had enough food for thought for all of us. I think we have had 1 good hour of knowing. Now the rest of the week is time for you to do things. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, sir. I was just connecting myself when I just spoke to a patient of mine this morning. I said, you've done engineering and then now what are you pursuing with MBA? I said, either stick to one. We are technocrats basically. So whatever we've studied, we have done it. So I always say, at times, they are confusion personified at times. And second thing is what you said about a student on the 8th standard. I think I could relate to that. When I was asked A plus B the whole square, I just had mugged it up and I came up with A square plus B square plus 2AB. But the fact is that where do I apply? So here I realized one thing, that when I was a professor, I realized that applied dentistry or applied dental materials or applied part of the science is very important, even when we are learning anatomy. That's something which is very missing. So I wouldn't really blame the student if the student felt that way. Even I think we've gone through those pangs actually at times. And more so with patients today, with all the confusion around, they are over analyzing. I always tell them, your over analysis is going to lead to paralysis. And I end my talk with them. I don't go ahead with it. So this is what my observation is, because practically every day, I think I see about 15 to 20 people in the clinic, and this is what we observe over a period of time. So this has been my way of looking at things. So people are over analytical at times, and with the kind of Google University and WhatsApp universities doing the rounds and giving them their certification, it becomes difficult.
Absolutely. It requires a lot of humility to say, I don't know.
Yes.
And seek clarification. And I feel that, a lot of people in this world today are in the process of trying to prove that they're something. And when you are in this mood of trying to prove that you're something, you can't be a student, unfortunately.
Yes, I agree. Thank you.
And, having someone as great as Arjun seeking clarification is so amazing. That means at that level of his evolution, he's still, having the humility to ask and clarify. That really shows his substance.
I really wish some amount of humility and acceptance and gratitude was injected along with the vaccine that was given for COVID.
Thank you. Anything else? Any other questions or comments, please? Vrinda Mataji, you have a question?
Yes, Prabhuji, can I ask?
Yes, please.
In that slide of yoga connection, four pictures are there. Work. Second one is know it all, and no KNOWL, no
Correct.
age.
Yes.
Fourth one is meditation. Can you elaborate on second, that no KNOWL and age?
Knowledge. That's what it is.
No, different way. Different way is between dash.
Don't bother. don't bother so much about it. That was not my intention of putting that image there. I didn't even think so much when I put that image. I just saw it as a knowledge image. I put it
Acha,
there.
acha. Just like that. Because I never saw, no, I thought some pen, newspaper or cutting of some. And
Thank you for
fourth
pointing
one,
it out.
meditation, that picture is of yoga.
Zen meditation.
Zen.
It's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Zen picture, basically. Again, I just picked it up and put it, so I didn't analyze so much about, I never thought that you will go so deep into those pictures.
No, just I saw the okay, okay. Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Thank you.
That was wonderful.
Sunita ji?
Guruji, Vadiraji. Okay, please carry on.
Sunita ji, you can go ahead, then Vadiraj.
Okay, fine. So Swamiji, it is nice that you were breaking off in between a little bit, so I hope I'm clear to you. For me, that is maybe my audio or something. So I just had a question. I've been thinking a lot about a lot of things.
Whatever is underlined, bold.
So I would.
Yeah, sorry, please.
Okay, so when you have this, confusion is a great topic to start with today, because sometimes in your life you come across a stage where you are confused, and you're confused between, I try to look at people, like maybe I'm just checking off some leaders, or probably yourself, or probably people like you, like when you are, like you have your prescribed duties to your family, and you have your things to do to society. When you have to choose between that, how both are right. I mean, both are not wrong, right? You got to take care of your family. You got to do that. You've got to do this because this is where something will. So how do you make a right choice where you have to give up one for the other? And you say, okay, this is now my time to not serve society. I'm going to do for my parents right now, or I'm going to take care of society right now. And my parents I'll somehow find for them. You're like, how do you do that? How do you?
This is exactly what we're talking about, right? See, the thing is, the tendency of most human beings is to make the choice.
Yeah.
This or that. But the tendency of God is to not make that choice. It is not about this or that. It is about this and that. So it's not that we, for this responsibility of a family, we give up our responsibility to society. And for the responsibility of society, we give up our responsibility to family. Everything is important. So the amazing thing about Krishna, at least this is what my understanding of Gita is, Gita helps us integrate.
Mm-hmm.
Gita is a book of integration. That means every aspect of life has to be integrated with all other aspects of life. A lot of us, we function in binary, 0 or 1, good or bad, happy or sad, distressed or excited. So we function in a very binary way. The Gita talks about balance.
Mm-hmm.
So Krishna will never let you in a point where he says this or that. No, Krishna says both.
Yeah, I mean,
In
I
fact,
get what.
I'm just going one step further.
Uh-huh.
In fact, when we read the 10th chapter of the Gita, I'm going to share with you all a series of verses where Krishna is talking about how he is negative also. He's saying, Krishna, I'm just giving you some verses. He says, I am the cheat among gamblers. Then he says, I am Shukra among sages. Shukracharya is a villain. All through the scriptures, if you read all the stories of Shukracharya, all the stories is a villain. I mean, he's supporting bad people, basically. I mean, he himself is not a villain, but he's supporting bad people. Krishna says, I am Shukra among sages. And if you look at the list of things that Krishna claims himself to be, it's amazing, both positive and negative.
Mm-hmm.
So which means that Bhagavad Gita, it does not allow us to give up on any aspect of life, because all aspects, there is an element of Krishna in it.
Yes.
when our family, Krishna is there in everybody's hearts. There's an element of Krishna in it. When you serve your family, you are serving Krishna. When you're serving society, you are serving Krishna, because society is created by the Lord. All the way, the idea of Varna Ashram, Krishna says, I am the one who created it. Chaturvarnyam Maya Shrishtyam. He says, Maya Shrishtyam means what? I created it. By following a system that society prescribes. We're following Krishna. We're talking about Krishna, right? So in every aspect, Krishna is there. Taking care of the body. You know, we go to a jog, we go to the gym, we do exercises. This body is a seat of Krishna. It's created by Krishna. So when a person starts seeing an element of Krishna in every aspect of life, that person starts respecting every aspect of life. Understanding that there is a Krishna element in it.
So
something as simple as cutting a vegetable. When I'm cutting a vegetable, how can I see Krishna in it? Many ways to see Krishna in it, isn't it? The taste of the vegetable, the way the vegetable, how can anything grow without water? How can anything grow without sunlight? How can anything grow without soil? Krishna says, I am the source of all of this. So that's the way in which we see Krishna in every aspect of life. And that's what Krishna consciousness essentially means.
Okay, so but I'm still like, okay, I totally understand, and I totally understand that it's not an or, it's more of an and possibly I don't want to take up people's time, but I do think, I do wonder sometimes that you have to choose good. Sometimes both don't go together, or I'm not seeing it going together. Like maybe that's it. Sometimes, I'm just talking about both don't go together. You have to make a choice. Okay, you have to do this or not that. So maybe in the case of youngsters today, like you have to choose between working or you can be with your parents. Like what would be their choice? Yeah, like they can't be with their parents because they have to go out somewhere. Maybe they're in a different locality, maybe they're in a different country. They can't be together with their parents. But they have to do their part, but they know, like so that's the kind of thing I'm trying to understand. Like it's not that they're not committed, it's not that they don't care.
So I can just give you some examples or some ideas. Let me just first, before I give you idea, let me give you a very interesting concept of psychology. It's called as insights. What's an insight? From a psychological point of view, the word insight means a path-breaking idea. Something that says, wow, this makes sense. So what all of us need in life is insights. So if like the situation in which you're talking about, parents living in one country, children living in another country, and for work, they have to be there. So they're choosing between work and parents, right? What really both need to understand is this. What is the meaning of being available? There are so many kids who are with parents constantly, but parents wish they don't stay with them because they make their life more miserable than good.
Okay.
At that age, parents need space. And at that age, the kids also need their space. But sometimes just staying together is more miserable than not staying together. That's an insight, by the way. And when I'm saying being available, what does it mean? See, parents don't need children all the time, but they need them sometimes. Most children are not available when the parents need them.
Okay.
And they're available all other times. They're not needed. When you're saying that, parents need children, it simply means there will be times in life when parents need them. And that's the time to drop everything and be there. That's as good, in fact, better than being there all the time. This is an insight for you.
Got you.
Okay. Vadiraji, your question?
Hare Krishna, Guruji.
Yes.
See, no, do, no, it's a very interesting concept which you have elaborated to us. So, after doing more or after practicing more, is that the identity is salvation, or how do you rate where we are standing in day-to-day practice? Whether we are knowing more to myself or whether I'm doing more to myself? How we can rate ourselves, Guruji?
Yeah. So one of the most powerful ways in which you know that your spiritual practice is helping you, first, is you feel happy. You feel very happy and satisfied in life. That is the first most important way in which spiritual life, that means that the fact that you're practicing nicely manifests. The second thing is when you feel happy about something, immediately what do? Go and share it with somebody else. You watch a nice movie, you're really, really excited and happy and you loved it. First thing you come out and make 10 phone calls and tell 10 people, oh, I love this, Then we just share. There is a second proof that you are advancing. So if you're practicing spiritual life nicely, you're chanting very well. First thing is it makes you more happy. The second thing is that you want to share it with many more people. That is the second thing that happens. You immediately want to share it with a lot more people and benefit a lot more people. And the third thing that happens is you become very grateful to the Lord for giving you the opportunity. So these three things are, one after another that happens. That there is a proof, tangible proof that you are advancing in your spiritual life. Did I answer your question?
Thank you. You have answered, sir. Answered, Guruji.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Excellent, Guruji.
Correct.
Wonderful session, sir. Thank you.
Vijayaji, your question? One last question we can take.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Prabhu, in 3.3, there's given like religion without philosophy is sentiment. And you also told like we do many things as a religion without knowing why we are doing. Prabhu, is that wrong in doing? And we do many things, Prabhu, at home in our normal life. So for something later on, we come to know why we are doing and that sentiment, whatever reason behind that. But some things we don't want to find out or we cannot find out. Like, चलो घर पे सब पड़े बूढ़े बुजुर्ग सब लोग करते थे हम भी कर लेते हैं. It's like that, So something nothing wrong in doing, I feel like, so that thing is continuing, that thing is wrong, or we should try to find out the reason how it is.
See, ideally, those who come into the path of Krishna consciousness, see, till you become solidly connected with a movement like ISKCON, which is knowledge based, you can do what you want, no problem at all.
Yeah.
Perfectly justified because you're doing something at least,
Right.
But the moment you come across a knowledge based movement and a movement that is solidly standing on philosophy, it is good to ask questions and clarify. And there are many rituals that are just not needed and just sometimes detrimental also that we end up doing. It's best to do away with those, so that you can focus and grow in your path of spirituality very nicely, and don't hesitate. Just because somebody is doing it for 10 decades doesn't mean it is right. And just because somebody is doing it for 3 generations doesn't mean it is always right. While it may be right, it may also not be right, basically.
Right.
So I think it's good if we have the courage to ask questions and clarify and do the needful. And of course, you should get it from the right source, basically.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Last question, Rakhi.
Hare Krishna. Actually, it's not a question. I'm just listening to you. I was connecting with the story that you said in Hanuman Chalisa, that when Rama asked all the Vanaras to go back to Kishkinda, and they said, no, how can we not be with you and how will we serve you? And he said, why are you thinking like that? Everything is mine. You are mine. So, that's why just when you were speaking, immediately I went back to the Hanuman Chalisa thing. I said, oh my God, everything is ultimately connected. It's very beautiful. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you, Hare Krishna. Thank you all very much. And we'll catch you all next week. We'll continue Krishna's answer to Arjun, the third chapter of Gita. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.